Hey guys, I'm installing some stair rail panels today for Impression Rail Express, and I'm going to show you how to do it. So the first step I'm doing, and this is going to be a drink rail, so I'm getting both of these top and bottom covers snapped tightly to it. Make sure that they are fully seated or else your cuts will be off. Do that for all of your panels to get them ready, and then you'll take them over and you're going to start clamping them and marking them. Now, before you start any IRX railing project, you always want to make sure your posts are nice and plumb and that your posts are square as well. Because when you make these cuts, you want to make sure that you're making square cuts and those square cuts land nicely. So the first thing you're going to do before you clamp your panels is you're going to put a 2x4 or 2x6 set up against your stair treads. And I like to make it long enough that it'll hit here so it stays by itself. And what you're going to do is you're going to set your panels on top of this, and then you're going to clamp them to your posts and then move them so that the balusters line up with a nice even gap at either post and that they're nice and plumb. So I'm going to set my panel with the bottom on that 2x4, and first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to eyeball and see where the baluster layout looks like it'll look nicely. So I like that. Now, first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to lightly clamp the bottom section about where I like it. I say lightly because I want to be able to slide that up and down. I'm going to get the bottom of the baluster spacing from the post even. 2.5 there. So once your bottom is even, go ahead and tighten this bottom clamp so it doesn't move. You can also add a secondary clamp up at the top. Next thing, you're going to shift the top of the panel until it's plumb and clamp that. Now sometimes you'll need a clamp at the top as well. So once you plumb this, double check that you like the reveal on both sides. Then you're going to come around and mark against the post. Next, you're going to take this over to the chop saw and you're going to cut your cuts. Now, I recommend doing one at a time when you're first starting, but if you're good with this and you have your system down, you can do all your measurements, make all your marks, and then make all your cuts. But just make sure you've got your system dialed before you do that. Otherwise, you're going to potentially miscut a lot of panels, and that gets real expensive. Now, before I test fit my pieces, I always like to ease the edge a little bit with a file, just to make sure that there's not sharp burrs that might scratch the post as you test fit. Everything's fitting fairly tightly. Good. So I'm going to go repeat that process, marking and cutting each of the panels. So when I install these stair panels, what I like to do is I like to get the bottom clip on first and then set the panel on that and let that set exactly where I set the other clips. You're going to be using these stair clips. So on this bottom panel, you're going to want this stair clip to be angled up like this. And I'll take a scrap from the panel cutoffs and get them lined up like so. So you've got the bottom of the panel and you've got the panel cover. And if you slide the clip in there, you can see where that sits. Make sure that this is all nicely flush. I'll mark on the side the top of the clip. Now that mark you're gonna use to mark the post. Now when you make this little template, you'll want to make a bottom and a top so you can mark the location of your top clip as well. Now for this top clip, you can have it a little bit low and it's not going to be a problem. In fact, you want to make it a little bit low so that when you install your railing, if you have a little fudge room, you want to make sure your bottom of your railing panel sits tight against the post and it doesn't get held up by that clip. I'm going to take this marking template and I slide it down until it meets the post, and then I'm going to make a mark right there, right where the top of the clip is going to be. Then I'm going to take a square and I'm going to square that across until it's in the center. Now on these jigs there's a little cutout here so you can visualize the top of the clip when you set it. So I'm going to put my jig on there. I'm going to line up the top of the clip location with that mark I just made, and then push that clip in and install the clip. Now for these bottom stair treads, you're going to need a shorter bit, a number 2 square, 2-inch bit, and a short impact is ideal for this. And the jig holds it nice and steady. These stair clips are slightly different size than the level clips. That's why these two different sized openings are necessary. Now on this Omni-Jig, it is a 2-way jig. It fits both 3-inch and 2-inch. So if you're doing continuous top rail on a stair rail, you just flip around, use the 2-inch side, and there you go. Now when you're installing your clips into the Omni-Jig, make sure that you push it all the way to the back. These have been specifically designed to have a very firm grip on the post and a firm grip on your clips. So it does take a little bit of force to get that seated properly against the post. Just make sure you do that before you start screwing in the clip. All right, so now I'm going to test fit my first panel, make sure it works. So I'm going to go ahead and orient it and slip the bottom piece onto that clip. Be gentle here, so make sure you don't scratch anything. That's why I always recommend easing those edges. And now I'm going to take a look, and everything's fitting nice and tightly. Now while you've got your panel dry fit in place, you'll mark and you can install this one, and you can mark and install this one, but don't install that top panel clip quite yet. You'll install that after you get the panel in place, and you'll have access to install that. I'm going to use my little sample here, line it up, and make a mark. Now all of this can get erased or taken off with magic eraser. Now that I've got my mark right here, I can line it up with the top mark for the stair clip on the jig. I'll just line it up right there. So these marks indicate the top and bottom of your clips. This is for level clips, this is for stair clips, so I line that mark up. And now I can install my stair clip in the right location. Now on this particular project, I'm going to be doing a continuous drink rail. At this point, you would use the top of that rail to mark your post for where you're going to cut your post and at what angle. Have both your panels in place so that you can make sure that that line is consistent from top to bottom. Alright, so when you get to installing your panels, you're going to take off the top and bottom cover. Now removing these panel covers from the panels is a bit of a pain if you don't know the trick, and it's a bit of a pain even if you do. So what I like to do is I like to dig my fingernails underneath the lip of each, and I like to pry out and up, and once you get a little bit removed like that, then you can just kind of rock it back and forth and work your way along until it all releases, and then it should slide off quite nicely. Here's my panel. I'm going to be working on this one right here. So first thing, I'm going to squeeze the panel I'm going to set the bottom end of the panel on the bottom clip of the bottom post. I'm going to snug it back all the way. Lift this side up a little bit. Get this set on the bottom clip of the top post. And now I'm going to shift the whole panel this way. And then I'm going to slide it into this post clip. And then you can move the top post clip. So it's bottom left, bottom right, top left, top right, if you're facing this way. You want to pre-install the top clip of your bottom post because that will be difficult to get into. Otherwise, the angle trying to get down in here just doesn't work very well. So you're going to secure the panel in the same order as you set the panel in. You're going to go with this one, this one, this one, and then this one. In order to make sure that this stays tight while I install a screw here, I like to use a clamp. Just give it some gentle pressure. You don't want to bend this baluster too far or else you'll permanently deform it. Now when you install this top clip, use the jig, set that in there, make sure it's nice and centered. Push the clip all the way back and use a clamp to make sure that it stays tight. Now when you go to put on these panel covers, it's a little tight. That's why you keep it up by 1.5 inches. That's why you set these 1.5 inches high with the 2x4. So kind of angle it in. Sometimes you got to go into the top a little bit. And then once you can kind of get the top, notice that the bottom's not in, get it up into the top and then slide it up to give you more room, and squeeze the bottom up and in place. Give it a little tap, always giving it some pressure that way so that it has room, and then tap it into place. The top goes the exact opposite. That one, you'll slide it into the bottom side, slide it down that way, give yourself room, get it tight down there, and then tighten it up this way. Sometimes a little rubber hammer would be helpful. Now if you're doing a standard railing, at this point you'd be done. You just put the caps on and the post skirts on and you're wrapped up. Now for the drink rail, I'll be installing the composite deck boards on top. I'm going to start with the top and then I'm going to run this one, the bottoms long, so that I can make sure that the way that top interacts looks nice and clean.
One eternity later.
And that's a wrap. I got the drink rails on and everything's looking nice. Hope that helps you install your IRX stair panels.